Good evening. For the record, it's Monday, September 10th,
Got your back.
and this is our first meeting with the Finance Committee this year for the fall annual town meeting. With the beginning of each new year in the fall, we reorganize as a committee, and this will be time to do that right now. I'd like to bring out for nominations for chair this upcoming year. Yes, Paul?
I nominate Bill Rotundi.
Okay, is there a second? Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions? Okay, hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous.
One abstained.
And one abstention.
Okay. That's unanimous?
Chair change.
Yes. Well, congratulations, Bill.
Hand him again.
Okay.
It's always a nice feeling when you
It was. Feel good now.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks for your efforts over the past year. Hopefully, we don't lose a step with me sitting here now. So with that said, I would open the floor up for a nomination for vice chair.
Nominate Steve.
Second?
There it is. There it is.
Who got the second?
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous.
One abstained, right?
No, that's right.
Now, look at you.
Just come up and sit in the chair with no keyboard.
Yeah. That's right. Sit on a little bench.
Yeah. This is a little better.
Guess the next order of business is to designate our capital improvements committee rep. I'll open it up for nominations. Amy?
I nominate Peter.
Second. Any discussion?
Yeah. Yeah, he did. You never asked that question. You're not supposed to ask.
Want to may not be the right word.
All right, hearing none. Take a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike?
In your packet, you have the estimated operating revenue and expenditures after the last cherry sheet numbers. We have a balance of $25,902, which will increase. We're waiting to hear from Bristol County Aggie what our actual numbers are there, but we had put in money for an assessment, and they're not doing it until next year. So there'll be some money available on that. So as soon as we hear from them, we'll be changing that number. And the cherry sheet is attached, the cherry sheet numbers. And today, we received our free cash certification from the Department of Revenue. And the three items are the general fund, $3,340,583. The Water Enterprise Fund, $2,714,075. And the Enterprise Fund for the Sewer Department, $1,661,261. And at the next meeting, I'll bring a report on the free cash, what we've seen over the last few years, and then what makes up this free cash, and possible uses for the free cash, such as $600,000 for next year, and snow and ice, and then fall items at the town meeting. And also, you have a copy of the draft warrant as of today. And Mr. Chairman, next week, if I could, the Water and Sewer Department said they would come in next week to talk about their articles.
Okay.
And I could just talk to you about a couple articles tonight, if you want. One of the articles is a streetlight conversion project. We have an article on this warrant to hire a consultant that the selectmen have recommended and have a contract from to do the study on what we'll need for lights, all our street lights, and also to work with us on the procurement process for new LED lights. And we will own our lights after this conversion project. And I gave you a spreadsheet in your packet, looks like this. And it will just show you, if you look down the bottom, over the next 20 years, on average, we'll be saving about $60,000 a year in our cost for the streetlights once we purchase them and convert them all to LEDs. So over the life of the 20 years, the cash flow you can see is significant on what we're going to save.
So, Mike, currently, we lease most of them,
Currently, all the lights are owned by National Grid. And
and in this projection estimate, maintenance and that kind of stuff?
yep, the average annual cost you can see per fixture is $31 a year. And we have about 769 fixtures. So they've figured that in when they figured the savings. So even with our own maintenance, I mean, the LED lights last a lot longer than the current lights, and National Grid isn't going to charge us for taking over all the lights. Normally, you'd have to buy the lights from National Grid, but they said they wouldn't charge us for that. So that's significant.
Paul?
Okay, this is also a study as to where we should have lights.
Correct.
It
Yep.
might take some out that we've got and
Right.
add others. So until we know the numbers that are involved, the town has grown a lot since we've added lights. And I know that that's an issue in some areas where they feel they haven't got enough lighting.
And then it'll also look at where the lights should be brighter than in other areas. Because these can be really bright, and so they have to be toned down in certain
Yeah,
areas.
I understand that. I mean, this is more than just replacing the existing lights we have. This
Right.
is a real.
They're going to do a GIS study of the town.
And I just think we should be perhaps prepared for a result that says we need a lot more lights than we've got now. And that, at least initially, not the price, once you put in all those lights, you still are getting a savings per light over what we have now. But if we have a lot more, it may not be that much of a savings to the town.
Right, if we were to put in all the lights. There's no saying that we're going to go and put lights in a lot of neighborhoods that don't have them right now.
Okay, in other words, we wouldn't be obligated to,
No.
after this study is done, we could pick and choose
Right.
the ones we wanted to do, even if others were recommended.
Yep.
Is there a liability if you have a study that says you should have a street light on the corner of Reservoir and
Well,
whatever, and we don't do it?
Well, I think right now, what our plan is to just look at the lights that exist right now. And if I don't know if I'll have to check and see if we're doing a study into any areas that we don't have lights.
Amy?
I think Paul makes a good point, but I know that as certain neighborhoods are built out, that they're adding lights as they go. So our neighborhood was built like 10, 12 years ago, and we have streetlights. They added the streetlights as they built the roads. So I'm sure there will be places where we need streetlights, but I'm not sure we're gonna need like twice as many streetlights, hopefully.
Right. Mike?
When we take ownership and we're responsible for the maintenance, that's done by town employees?
No. It would be contracted out.
Okay, is that factored into the,
Yeah.
okay.
Peter?
So this is just to replace our current lights. And we're gonna do a study on the current lights or a study on the whole town?
Current, a study on the current lights.
On the current lights of town, not the whole town, not a study of the whole town to
No.
determine where we might need lights, just a study of the current town.
So that's what you're contracting for?
Right.
I misunderstood, because I thought it was, the way you initially said it,
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
Yep,
I thought it
no,
was
that-
a study of the whole town, which is what led me to.
Right now, we have 769
So you're
streetlights.
looking at those lights, you're not looking at the town as a whole and where we
Right.
might need lights and don't need light,
No.
okay, because
And that,
I think one of the things, for example, the street I live in is one of the oldest streets in town. Since I've been living there, there's been a lot of building along the street, but the streetlights haven't changed. The streetlights were placed in there when there were no houses anywhere near where my house is. Now I've got 4 across the street, one's next door, and it's pretty dark for many of them. I happen to have one because my house was there since supposedly as a barn back in 1825, but
the way it's done now, if someone contacts us about the need for a streetlight, we have the safety officer from the police department look at the area and see what they determine. If they determine a need, then we add one. And we've done that, we've added a few as we go along.
okay. But the study you're getting is really of the existing streetlights.
Correct.
Not of the town as a whole and where.
Right.
Where lights might or might not be
Yeah.
warranted. Okay.
How much does this study cost, Mike?
The study will be to do the engineering study and prepare the procurement documents and do the procurement process, about $33,000 total.
And they're basically just going to study where to put the lights, where to replace the lights?
They're going to look at where all the lights are now. They're going to do a study on what illumination should be in those particular areas. Some will be brighter than others. They're going to have some installed so that we can look at what they look like in certain areas. And then they will prepare all the documents to go out to bid for the purchase of the lights and oversee that.
Other towns have done this.
Right.
And
Ones that I know, Rockland and Brockton have done it. Easton owns their lights now.
and they've a couple of years into the program, and it's been a benefit. Good feedback.
And we'll look for any grant money we can to help us with the purchase of the lights.
And is National Grid trying to just get out of the lighting business?
Right.
So what if you contract on your own? Is that still going to be there, or?
Is National, yeah, they would still if we didn't do it, National Grid would keep.
Because I know some people who actually contract and pay for a streetlight.
Okay, any other questions on that? And the other article is to hire a consultant. We want to look at putting solar on the Slattery property behind the Water and Sewer Department, and like we did on the landfill. And what we did for that was we hired a consultant who went through the process and ranked the companies, let us know which companies were legitimate bidders on the project. They ranked them all so that we could determine what was the best company to sign a contract with. And, that's worked out great for us on the landfill. We get $80,000 a year rent. We have $40,000 in a pilot. And like last month, our savings was $39,000 a year in energy credits, so we'll be looking at the same thing for a company to come in. I'll get you a price on that at a future meeting so you can vote on it. We'll also have to hire a surveyor out in that area to develop a lease plan, lease area that,
Can you just say that again for my notes?
yep, well,
Briefly, so for my notes.
the whole thing, where do you want me to start?
Where are we putting,
This is the Slattery, what's called the Slattery property. It's behind the Water and Sewer Department.
Remember
And
they used to have the ice rink years
Yeah.
ago?
I think they used to flood the bogs.
Yeah.
So we'll be hiring a consultant to help us through the procurement process and rank the companies that want to bid on it, and also surveyor to lay out a lease area,
replacing solar panels?
to where a lease area where the solar panels will go.
That's good for my notes.
How will it size up compared to Hill Street?
Until we lay out, see what area, where wetlands are and what we have for a buildable area, I don't know yet.
Is the idea to put as much in there as you can?
Yeah. And right now, so we get, the energy from Hill Street is 7 cents a kilowatt. So we get credits on our national grid bill, and then we pay Citizens Energy up at 7 cents a kilowatt. So we're, on the average, it's $39,000 a month we're netting each month.
On the Hill Street?
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that one down.
It's a good price.
Yeah, they apportion it to the highest bills that we have. One is our streetlights, the high school, the Salmonese, probably the Yell, and then this building, and a couple of the pump stations for the water department. And that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. And so next week is water sewer. The week after is the school committee, or the schools?
We have, yeah, we'll still have capital, and we'll have all the budget supplements to do.
Okay. Okay.
And just, your timeline is, the last day to post the warrant is October 2nd, and then the warrant with your recommendations, October 5th.
I think October.
So we'll have meetings 17th, 24th,
30th.
and then the 3rd, or the 1st?
No, third, right here.
Yeah,
17.
17th,
24th,
24th,
probably the
and then
30th.
3rd. No, 30th is Sunday.
I mean, the first.
17th, 24th, and then October 3rd,
Okay,
and then
then the 10th?
October 10th.
Okay,
Our next meeting is the 17th, right?
yes.
Week,
Yeah, 2 more Mondays and then 2 Wednesdays.
okay.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, before Mike goes, can I ask a question about free cash?
Mike? Do you have 1 sec?
That's the one.
Amy?
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, how we ended up with so much free cash? This is significantly more than what we're used to seeing?
No. We actually end with 2.5, 3 million every year. And this is probably the same as last year, pretty close, except last year we had the extra 1.5 for Alnylam.
Right, so that was kind of a one-off
Right.
situation.
So this year is, if you took off that 1.5 from last year and this year would be similar. Last year was about 4 million,
Yeah.
whatever.
It was just under 4.3.
So if you take off the 1 million, whatever, from Alnylam, you'd be at what we are at this year.
Yeah.
More or less.
Okay, this just seems awfully high for the budget process we went through.
Well, generally, as the DOR says, you should end your year with 5 to 10% free cash based on your budget.
Yeah, but
When we go through a budget process where we're not even giving all departments level services, it seems like this is a big number.
Well, next week I'll bring in and show you what we've had year after year and how ends up going fast year after year. When we use 600,000 for the budget, and then we always come back in the fall and the spring, and it seems like we're supplementing budgets in both the fall and the spring. So in effect, we end up using like $1 million of free cash each year. But
yeah, and I think that the point that we all have to remember is you can anticipate there will be free cash, but that free cash is not there and available. I mean, when we had the town meeting back in May, it's not there to be used. There is no free cash to be used for, that is this year's free cash. You couldn't appropriate, you can't do any of that sort of thing. And which is probably a good idea, because I've been around here long enough where I can remember where we had zero free cash.
Negative free cash.
We had, and yes, Tom was right, we had negative free cash, where we had to put stuff in escrow. Where we literally had to put money in escrow until we got out of negative free cash. Because that meant that we had debts that we hadn't been able to cover with what there was.
Yep.
And that was fortunately something we were able to deal with fairly quickly, because it came from a rather magnificent error that somebody had made. Not corrupt error, just error. But nonetheless, you can be with zero free cash or even negative free cash, so you can't count. And you don't know. And I agree with Amy. I mean, it always seems crazy that we wind up with a free cash total which seems so large, when in the spring we're nickel and diming everything
Right.
under the sun. But there's really, you have to work with the figures you've got, and you can't work with anticipated free cash. It's as simple as that.
I also think it's somewhere in between. I think we're getting used to, keep hearing about the negative free cash, zero free cash. But right now, I go back over the last 3, 4, 5 years, we've been about 4.
No, this was back in the first, second, third year of the new century that this happened.
That's right. But we've been, so I think we have to look at it and potentially see if there's other things to do. Maybe we're being too conservative as far as our projections, and I know it's risky, but we're feeling how many years now of significant free cash.
Well, the change that has been made over the years too is that we never used to have anything like the fall town meeting. I mean, there were special town meetings occasionally, but there was just one town meeting. And really, this whole business of having a fall section of the annual town meeting, which is really what we're doing, came in part because in the fall, we knew what we had for free cash, and if we needed to adjust some of the budgets or other things, we could do so. Or we could decide we're going to put it ahead for next year, as Mike says.
Right. But
This is the meeting where we could adjust, and I'm sure Mike is going to come in with some budget adjustments. But, of one type or another that are needed for one reason or another. And we now have the money where we could do it. We didn't have it last spring.
I understand that entirely, but there are departments in town where timing matters, right? It's real hard to hire teachers the end of September, beginning of October. It's, we laid off 8 teachers because we didn't have the money to pay them. We consolidated bus routes, and now I've got,
We brought the teachers back, though.
no, we're still down numbers.
They come with the numbers. I'd like to see those numbers. Person per person laid off, person per person replaced, person per person retired. How many people in the department where they laid off all the workers in the cafeteria? How many retired that we're still paying the health benefits that we took that for the $143,000 we were going to save the health benefits? Those are the kind of numbers they should be bringing to us.
I'm sure if we ask for them, they will.
I am asking for them, and they know that. They know when they come before us. I won't have to ask the question.
Right.
They have the answer, okay? And if the answers are right, I don't care. I don't question their ability to tell the truth to us. Not at all. Well, just give me the numbers, that's all. It's just numbers,
Right, absolutely.
okay?
Yep. And next week, you're gonna have more of a breakdown in the history,
Yep,
which I'm gonna miss,
okay.
but
I'll send it to you.
thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Mike. I don't think we technically have anything else to really discuss. I did discuss before the meeting, I think we need better financial reporting for us, for the selectmen, for anybody who's trying to make a budget. I asked Mike, I said, do we do projections? He said, not really. I said, I think that's something that our accountant needs to help us get to, because we are technically a $69 million company. And we can't produce a projection that says where we're gonna be in 2 years with any
Right.
real ability to say yes or no. So I find it hard to believe that we can approve contracts, we can purchase equipment if we don't see where we're going. And so hopefully we're gonna end up there. But it's probably not gonna be for like a year. But I started I needed to start that, because I'm in finance and I just don't understand how we do this here with the numbers we get. I asked for handouts earlier. He's gonna try to do it. I said Friday is really great, because that gives us the weekend. I said if you give it to us Monday, I know personally, I'm not gonna have time to look at it. So we're gonna try to get there, to give us more information. I asked, can this be used for, if nothing else, the few people who may be watching us and don't have the benefit of this? That's what it's there for. Can we use it? I would entertain at some point views as to whether we are a committee of fall and spring meeting, or if there is a belief and a desire that this committee is actually more of a year-round thing. I don't expect an answer tonight. I'd like to hear back from people on that, though. I have my opinion. And, you know, hopefully we can move forward. At the end of the day, I think as Tom just said, it's about numbers. It's about presenting the information. And then what we do with it, or what the town does with it, that's up to them. But if we can give them the information, and better information, at the end of the day, I think it's better for the town, my opinion.
I
Yes.
do agree with you that it would be great to have the information ahead of time, because I do find myself, you know, flipping through a packet that has no page numbers, trying to keep track of where we're at, and then synthesize that information, and then make a decision on it really, really quickly. And
Right.
I just don't feel like it's realistic for me personally.
Right.
So that would be really great. I mean, even Thursday would be better than Monday or Friday. But I recognize that that's probably not realistic, so.
Right. I mean, I was aiming for Friday just to give them the week to do it,
Right.
and then that gives us the weekend to at least attempt to get to it. And I know everybody's weekends are probably busy as all get out. But a lot easier than getting it Monday night or Tuesday night for a Wednesday meeting. Because again, after a full day of work, I'm not going to want to look at it anyways. That's just me. I guess the last thing is, you know, I love questions, and I love to pose questions to Mike and whatnot. To me, they have to be relevant. So if we're asking for something out of a budget that makes up 1% of the entire thing, I don't think that's relevant. So I think we need to be very pointed when we ask extra questions or extra information. We need X. I think it has to be relevant. It has to be, it has to move the needle, because they're busy too, doing other things. And they should get us the information, but we shouldn't ask them just to get really information that's not going to do anything for us. Again, my opinion. With that said, if anybody else, otherwise, adjournment?
There was the last thing on the agenda.
Town report.
Rick?
Oh, yeah.
Michael's going to touch on that. He didn't touch on it.
That's actually your job,
That's your
Rick.
job.
My job.
No, it's Rick's job.
The outgoing,
The outgoing chair.
Didn't
Rights-
we
rights
approve
it.
it?
Yeah, wasn't that what?
Didn't we approve it at our meeting in July?
Yeah,
Oh, in July that I didn't go to?
Or the last meeting? I thought we, I remember going back and forth, and there was a semicolon, and we all talked
I
about
did
the
that.
report. Right.
Right.
That was Deb's
That was-
report. This is the report for the town report.
right.
Published next spring.
It's published next spring.
Yes. Dick, what I did, and I know Paul didn't, but what I did is I took whatever was
Previous
written
one.
by the vice chair, and I submitted that. Because that went with the warrant
Yeah.
for the annual meeting. Some people like to embellish it a little more, but for me, English was not my strong suit. So I just,
But the
And
main
that's all you
point
have to
about
do.
it is it's the last duty of the outgoing
Okay.
chair,
Yeah.
is to prepare the report
For the
of
annual.
the year he was chair.
for the annual.
Thanks,
To go
Rick.
in the annual town meeting.
Next year.
That will be published next April.
Yes.
Right.
And bring it to us to be reviewed and
When do we do that?
as soon as possible.
You could do it next week if you want.
Do you want
So
me
they
to
can
email
print
you
out
something?
By about November, the assistant to the town manager will start
Start
bugging
getting
everybody.
nervous.
for it.
Where is it?
Okay,
All right,
okay,
Yep.
that's what that is.
all right. I have no clue what that is.
But that's.
All right. Next week, I am not here. So it's all, it's all Steve.
Steve, you're moving right in.
Um,
On the hot seat, that's good. That's a good thing.
So I'll get the agenda out.
Mhm.
Who do I send it
You
to?
should get it into,
Mike?
it would be
Or-
needed by Thursday afternoon.
Who do I send it to?
Send it to, in this case, Kaylee, copy Michelle for this week. Then it will go over to the town clerk to get certified, stamped.
We need to post the meeting quick, right?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. All right. And now, any other business or motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous.